Good evening and welcome to NoorNews. Tonight, we lead with the major breakthrough in the Middle East as Hamas agrees to a disarmament roadmap, alongside the latest on the devastating Russian strikes hitting Kyiv. Stay with us as we bring you the full details on these developing stories. FIFA has officially abandoned its controversial proposal to sell off stakes in its major football competitions. The decision follows intense and widespread opposition to the plan, which had been championed by FIFA President Gianni Infantino as a means to generate significant new revenue streams for the governing body. According to reports from the BBC and Al Jazeera, the proposal faced substantial pushback from various stakeholders, including continental confederations, national associations, and fan groups, who expressed deep concerns regarding the potential impact on the integrity and governance of the sport. Critics argued that privatizing portions of the organization's flagship tournaments could undermine FIFA's non-profit status and shift the focus away from the development of the game. In response to the mounting pressure, FIFA leadership has confirmed that the investment plan will not proceed. The governing body is now expected to pivot toward alternative financial strategies to bolster its reserves, though the collapse of this specific initiative marks a notable setback for Infantino's broader commercial agenda. The move has been welcomed by football governance watchdogs, who maintain that the sport's major assets should remain under the direct control of its member associations rather than private equity interests. Saudi Arabia has officially welcomed the Gaza disarmament agreement announced by U.S. President Donald Trump, characterizing the deal as a landmark achievement in regional diplomacy. In a statement released on Friday, the Saudi Ministry of Foreign Affairs praised President Trump's leadership and the sustained mediation efforts of Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the International Peace Council. According to reports from the BBC and Al Jazeera, the kingdom has reaffirmed its full support for the comprehensive peace plan outlined in UN Security Council Resolution 2803. Saudi officials emphasized that the success of this agreement relies on the strict implementation of all phases within a defined, irreversible timetable. The Saudi government underscored that the path to stability requires the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, the immediate deployment of an international stabilization force, and the establishment of a secure, uninterrupted corridor for humanitarian aid. While the kingdom remains committed to coordinating with regional and international partners to ensure the plan's execution, the focus remains on the transition toward a final, lasting resolution. The announcement marks a significant shift in the diplomatic landscape, with Riyadh signaling its readiness to support the logistical and political framework necessary to stabilize the territory following the cessation of hostilities. Conjoined twins from Fiji, Jezebel and Dizizia, have arrived in Riyadh to undergo a medical evaluation for a potential separation surgery. The twins reached King Khalid International Airport on Friday, following directives issued by the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. According to the Saudi Gazette, the infants were immediately transferred to the King Abdullah Specialist Children's Hospital, which operates under the Ministry of National Guard Health Affairs. There, a specialized medical team will conduct comprehensive assessments to determine the feasibility of a surgical procedure. Dr. Abdullah Al-Rabia, who serves as the Supervisor General of the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center and leads the Saudi Conjoined Twins program, expressed gratitude to the kingdom's leadership for this humanitarian initiative. Dr. Al-Rabia noted that the program underscores Saudi Arabia's ongoing commitment to providing advanced medical assistance to individuals in need, regardless of their nationality or background. The Saudi Conjoined Twins program has gained international recognition for its extensive experience in handling complex separation cases. The medical team is expected to release further updates once the initial diagnostic phase is completed and a formal treatment plan is established for the twins. Former Peruvian President Ollanta Humala has been released from prison following a judicial decision to overturn his 15-year sentence for corruption. Humala, who served as president from 2011 to 2016, had been incarcerated since 2025 after being convicted on multiple counts of money laundering. The legal reversal also applies to his wife, Nadine Heredia, who was sentenced alongside him for her alleged involvement in the illicit financial activities. According to reports from the BBC and Al Jazeera, the appellate court cited insufficient evidence to sustain the original conviction, leading to the immediate vacating of the prison terms. The case had been a focal point of Peru's broader anti-corruption efforts, which have targeted several former heads of state over the past decade. While the release marks a significant development in the country's high-profile legal landscape, prosecutors have indicated they may seek further avenues to challenge the ruling. The couple's legal team has maintained their innocence throughout the proceedings, arguing that the charges were politically motivated. As of now, both Hamala and Heredia have returned to their private lives, though the judicial saga continues to draw intense scrutiny from legal experts and the Peruvian public alike. At least 9 people have been killed in Kyiv following a series of Russian strikes on the Ukrainian capital, according to officials in the country. The attack marks a significant escalation in Moscow's use of ballistic missiles targeting urban centers, as regional tensions continue to intensify. Reporting from the BBC and Al Jazeera confirms that the strikes hit multiple locations, causing widespread damage and prompting emergency services to launch large-scale rescue operations across the city. Ukrainian authorities have described the barrage as one of the most intense aerial assaults on the capital in recent weeks, noting that air defense systems were overwhelmed by the volume of incoming projectiles. While Moscow has not provided specific details regarding the targets, the Kremlin maintains that its military operations are focused on degrading Ukraine's defense infrastructure. International observers are currently assessing the impact of these strikes, as the death toll remains subject to change while search and rescue teams navigate the debris. The situation on the ground remains volatile, with local officials advising residents to remain in shelters as the threat of further ballistic missile activity persists throughout the region. We will continue to monitor these developments as more information becomes available from verified sources on the ground. Hamas has officially agreed to a roadmap that includes the disarmament of its militant wing and the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. According to reports from the BBC and Al Jazeera, the agreement stipulates that the group will surrender its weapons to a newly formed Palestinian governing committee, marking a significant shift in the ongoing conflict. This proposal, reportedly facilitated under a framework supported by the Trump administration, outlines a phased transition intended to restore stability to the region. Under the terms of the deal, the disarmament process will occur in tandem with the phased removal of Israeli military assets from the territory. While the specifics of the governing committee's composition remain under negotiation, the commitment to relinquish control of weaponry represents a major departure from the group's long-standing policy. International observers are currently reviewing the timeline for these developments, as both sides prepare for the initial stages of implementation. The agreement is being viewed as a potential turning point in the humanitarian crisis, though analysts caution that the success of the roadmap will depend heavily on the cooperation of all regional stakeholders and the ability of the governing committee to maintain security during the transition period. Several Palestinians sustained injuries overnight as Israeli occupation forces intensified their military operations across the Gaza Strip. According to reports from Al Jazeera, the escalation involved a series of targeted airstrikes on residential homes, alongside the forced eviction of residents from multiple neighborhoods. These developments mark a significant increase in hostilities, as ground and aerial units continue to exert pressure on civilian populations in areas previously designated for evacuation. Medical sources on the ground have indicated that emergency teams are struggling to reach the affected sites due to the ongoing intensity of the bombardment and the destruction of critical infrastructure. The strikes have resulted in significant structural damage, leaving numerous families displaced and without shelter as the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate. While the Israeli military maintains that these actions are part of its ongoing security operations, local reports emphasize the severe impact on civilians, noting that the forced evacuations are occurring under direct threat of fire. International observers remain concerned over the rising casualty figures and the lack of safe zones for those fleeing the targeted areas. As of this morning, the full extent of the casualties remains unconfirmed, with rescue operations hindered by the persistent threat of further strikes. Thank you for joining us for this verified bulletin. We will continue to track these stories as they unfold, so stay tuned for further updates. NoorNews, verified before published.